Hey Granger, how's it going?
Hey, brother, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's good to meet you.
Nice to
Thank,
meet you too.
thank you for doing this today. I appreciate you taking the
Of
time out of
course.
your day to come and have a chat. Love the new music, by the way. Massive fan, so it's great to
Thank you
chat with
so
you about it.
much.
How you been holding up this year? Because it's been a crazy one for all of us. So how's it been for you?
It's been a crazy year. It has been a year of patience and overcoming adversity. And I think we'll look back on it. We'll see the positives when we look back in a few years.
You must be desperate to get back out on the road though, because someone who's usually got such a busy schedule. I know that we're missing live
Yeah.
music as fans, so you must be absolutely craving the opportunity to get out there.
Yeah, no doubt. Craving it, and in a lot of ways, I look at it as I have a sense of responsibility to support my band and crew that has really been so loyal to me over the last 10 years, and it's hard to not return that loyalty now in a time of need. And so it's almost become my first priority is to get to work so that I could support them, and then the secondary priority is to play music for the fans, which it's crazy because I really want to play music for the fans, if that puts it in perspective.
But I guess on the flip side, it must have been great for you to be able to spend some time with your family because, like I say, as someone who's got such a busy schedule, usually to take that time off and have nothing to think about really, that must have been quite refreshing for you.
Sure, yeah, and I certainly didn't use the word refreshing in March and April when it was first all closing down. I was much more panicked than relieved. And it's one of those things. Just to touch a little bit on what I said earlier, it's a little bit about, I think it'll be the perspective of looking back in a few years and going, you know what? I was a lot closer with my family. We spent some good quality time together. We had some good bonding. We became closer as a family because of 2020. Although right in the middle of the battlefield, I didn't immediately think of it that way.
Well, one thing you have been doing is releasing new music. And I wanted to ask you about the whole process of releasing music in the situation that we're currently in, because without the ability to tour, without the ability to go and do radio promo in person, how difficult has that been to release a project like Country Things?
Yeah, the number one thing is to not have that tour support for new music has been very unorthodox for musicians. And so we've been needing to be creative in other ways to promote the music and to get the songs out there and to integrate the songs into the fans' lifestyle, which is in a large part been through videos that we've done, YouTube videos, and promoting those through social media. So if we could integrate the songs into a lifestyle of a video, it's really the next best thing to having a live show, which is far down the line to being the second best thing. But that's really what we've been depending on.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask you about the video content because you're like really hot on the video content. You put so much out there. I wanted to ask how much you enjoy actually getting involved in the creative process because obviously you released the Country Things video a couple of months back, and that was a real kind of insight into your family life. So, how open are you to kind of getting involved in that creative side of things?
No, I'm very, very open. A lot of like we have a family vlog called The Smiths, and I film all that myself. I don't do the editing anymore, but I film all that. We have a truck restoration series with my bus drivers that I film. And then there's just loads of behind the scenes things to all the other music videos we're doing that I like to film. So I love that creative process, and I love to get super deep in the weeds when it comes to that stuff.
Now, let's speak about the music a little bit. You started the project well over a year ago now, and obviously a lot's happened in your life and everybody's lives since then. So just tell us about what this Country Things project means to you and maybe how that's changed over the last couple of years as well.
Yeah, certainly. It's definitely changed in perspective of lifestyle, realization of the important things in life, the important things that money can't buy, that are unchanged, and that ultimately create the most satisfaction and gratitude and joy, are usually the things that money can't buy. It has nothing to do with career or the corporate ladder or a paycheck. It's everything to do with living in the moment, being with the people that you love and that love you, and enjoying those little things in that moment. And that's certainly where country things took a turn for me in the writing process and the recording process. And when 2020 hit and life changed, we really dialed in on those type of thoughts.
And you had 16 tracks for this record, which is pretty long, and you decided to put it out into kind of separate packages. And that seems to be the way that a lot of artists do things nowadays, to chop these albums down into EPs and shorter packages. So what was the thinking behind that for you?
There's just the thought that these days it's hard to consume that much music at one time in a world when the social media grab is 1 to 2 minutes long of perspective. So you want to be able to let everyone consume at their own pace without losing some of the deeper thinking, slower songs, or whatever the album cuts are. The biggest fear of an artist is that those songs get left behind or forgotten or overlooked. So the thought is to divide it up into two, 8 songs, one release, 8 songs, another release. You have a better chance of people consuming and absorbing all the messages and melodies in each package.
What are your personal thoughts on that? Because there's a lot of discussion about, albums or EPs, and admittedly, I'm an album guy. I like to have the whole package and listen to it from front to back. But how do you feel about that and the way things are going nowadays?
Yeah, I'm an album guy too, and that's just how I grew up, was going and waiting in line and at the record store and buying an album the day that it came out. And it's hard to switch to a single driven world where we release singles and they go to radio, and then they go to the streaming services, and you put everything behind it. And a lot of times that single doesn't tell your whole story. It only tells a little bit of the story. And so as an artist, as a creative, you feel a little bit incomplete that your entire story isn't told through one song. And it's something I've had to truly adapt to and kind of get over, as the market moves that way. But at the end of the day, everything for me now is concert driven. So I look at putting out music as essentially an advertisement to the concert. So if we have 90 minutes that we play in a show, I divide that 90 minutes up into 3 to 4 minute sections, and those are moments of the show. And so anytime I release a new song, I'm looking for a new moment, a new message, a new direction, something that creates a memorable moment for a concert goer. And really, that's what the music has become to me.
Well, there are quite a few moments on the new album, and one that really seems to have struck a chord is Heroes. Every interview that I read that you've done, everybody seems to mention Heroes as the real standout track, and it feels so relevant in today's world that we're living in as well. So where did that one come from, and how important was that for you to get it on the record?
Yeah, Heroes is an interesting story because I wrote that song in 2016 with a couple friends of mine on the bus on tour, and it felt different than it does now in its true form today. It was faster. It was like a cowboy shuffle beat. It wasn't at all like it is now, and it wasn't until 2020 that I was driving around running some errands, and I thought about that song, and I was like, man, that song actually works really well now, but it doesn't sound like it used to. It needs to be more thematic, a little more epic feeling. And so I kind of got this little melody in my head, and I turned around and I went straight home and started working on the new version of Heroes. And then it was a no-brainer. It was like, wow, this song was always meant to have come out this year in this time about this subject matter. And I love that song, Heroes, and I love how songs could take a turn like that.
It's one of many very deep moments on the album as well, and I absolutely love I Kill Spiders as well, because that really taps into your kind of fatherhood side, and it will really strike a chord with anybody who's gone through what you've been through. So that's a really clever one, because it's a quirky way to express a very touching, very common message. So how did that one come together, and where did the idea come from for that?
Yeah, I feel the same way about that song, I Kill Spiders. And that song came when a friend of mine called me one day and said, I have a great idea for a song. It's called I Kill Spiders. And I just said, that's an interesting title. I'm interested in hearing what the story is. And he said, well, it's the idea that no matter what you do in your life or your career, to your daughter, you'll always be the hero that can kill spiders for her. And I thought that's a brilliant way of saying it, and like you said, in a quirky way. So I went home and put together a melody and put together some words, and it was pretty easy to write the song. And I'm very happy with the way it turned out. I even used my daughter to use a little voiceover on the record itself, and that's going to be a proud moment of ours when we look back on that in 10 years.
That's awesome. And I wanted to speak to you about the collaboration you did with Lathan Warlick as well. That's Why I Love Dirt Roads earlier this year. How much fun was that to kind of switch the track up a little bit and get Lathan involved in that?
Yeah, that was really cool. And that was a pure collaboration that happened when just literally started with the direct message on Instagram. My wife found him, showed him to me. I was blown away by his content and the depth of his lyrics. And so I DM'd him on Instagram and just said, hey, maybe one day we could collab together. And he said, I would love to. He said that in the same night that I messaged him, which is always exciting. And then I thought about it and I was like, maybe That's Why I Love Dirt Roads would be cool. So I went to my guitar player and we built a track that was more spacious and open, that would lend itself to something that Lathan could do. So then I texted that to Lathan. He came up with those lyrics in just maybe 24 hours. And we were off to the races recording that the way that it is now. And it's very special to me. And I love the depth that Lathan's lyrics took the song to.
Very cool. And just before I let you go, Granger, I could speak to you forever. It's so easy. But I wanted to speak to you about coming to the UK, because obviously you're familiar with the UK. You've got a lot of affiliation with the UK, but we haven't seen you performing in the UK yet. So is that something that you would like to do in the near future?
Absolutely. That's an easy answer for me. We try to go there just to vacation at least once a year, and didn't happen this year. But my wife and I went. The last time we went to the UK was in September of 2019, and we were engaged in York. So that's a special town for us. So we always try to go to York. It's just, I love that town. I love the size of it. It's just small enough to feel like a little medieval village, but it's big enough to still have kind of the modern conveniences and great food. So we try to always make York on our trip to the UK, but I've never gone there to tour. I've never played in the UK music. And so I would love to be able to tie together my passion of vacationing there with actually making money on a tour. So fingers crossed that'll happen.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Well, Granger, thank you so much for doing this today. I appreciate your time. And we'll hopefully make that happen in the near future, and we'll meet up in real life.
My pleasure. Absolutely. I hope it happens.